Let's see where we're at with thickness. That's right where I want it, if not a little thin, but it's workable. And it's gradually getting thicker as we go. So I might want to take a little bit of the slope out of that. See how that does. Now the trouble that I've always had with platters is the curve, which I'm not to quite yet, but I'm attempting to solve that problem. I've always used large ribs in the past for plates. Here's a good example. This is what I used to use. I've tried either direction. That usually works better, but I still end up with kind of a bump partway through that has to be trimmed out. So I'm going back to what I work with best: tiny freaking tools. So we'll see how this works. And of course, with most metal tools that are this thin, the nice thing about this, you have that shape, but you can also bend it, unlike a rigid metal. This allows me to work it a little bit better. The downside is every now and then I give myself the equivalent to a metal paper cut, which sucks. Hopefully I won't be doing that today. It's usually pretty obvious when I have, because I'm using porcelain, so you have these lovely red streaks that appear on the clay. And that I usually scrap. So once again, there's that problem that I'm always running into, right here. We'll work with it. So that's the main base of the plate. Now, let's go for a bit of the rim. Once again, I do my first pulls usually with the sponge. Go about half, so that there's still some water in there. Come on, sweetness. There we go. What I'm doing, basically, I'm pulling this on the outside, and you probably saw my hand on the inside. So. We go, dear. Some people talk to their plants to make them grow. I talk to my pots. It works for me. Yes, I'm crazy. But that's what makes art worthwhile. I can be happily crazy, and my pot can steal my sponge. And it works to the strength of it. Let's try to get those throwing lines out of there. They're screwing up on me. Gosh. I wonder how sensitive the mic on this thing is. This being the first recording and all. Usually about this stage, you don't want to mess with the underside much because you will screw up the support. Somehow you'll knock the whatever that word is, rigidness out of that arch that you've established. And that arch right here is what's holding up the weight of the clay. You screw that up, the whole thing's going to flop. So, let's see if we can pull this off, shall we? Angle a little. There. It's a curve. Good edge to touch. More than I'd like, really, because the rest of it's not keeping up. I'm going to write my own taboo. However, as I'm doing so, the rib is, I'm using it curved and on the entire surface underneath, so that probably helps maintain that a little. Hopefully I won't screw this thing up. I'd rather not. That just about pushed my luck. We'll stop there. What I'll end up doing to get rid of this little nastiness is I'll come back in when it's hard, when it's dried a little and it's gotten closer to leather, and I'll trim that out. Reinforce the rim a little, smooth it out, compress it, and then I'll just, instead of kicking the gift horse in the mouth, I'll just give it a few love taps here. Okay, let's try to do an undercut so that the trim or cutting wire has a place to go instead of through the plate, without hitting the rim. And voila! It managed not to die. Yet. Holy crap, that went way over in time. That's going to have to be edited. Or it just won't get posted. Take this off the wheel head. At least now I know how long it takes me to throw a platter these days. Way too friggin' long. If I do edit and post this, we're at about 19.5 to 20 minutes now. And YouTube has a 10-minute limit, and that's how long it should be taking me to throw items. So, and there's our finished. I have to get that center ridge out, but there's the undercuts that I was doing. I am stuck in my bucket of clay. You can see how here it kind of goes underneath, so hopefully the wire will go down and stay near the bat. And there we are. 3, potentially, this is a shrink roll that I'm using. If you see, it's 14% shrinkage. Porcelain's about 13.5. or so. Little over 12 inches. Hooray!